Hello and welcome back to our masterclass on temperaments. Today we'll be discussing the supine in affection. Once again, I'm Roy Clark and I'm here with my wife, Dr. Amy. Amy, what can you tell us about the supine in affection?
So we've been talking about how the supine has very indirect behavior.
Right.
And so again, this follows through into the affection area. I'm going to show the expressed and wanted needs sheet one more time. So this is a pretty much pure supine. They've got a little phlegmatic blending, and we'll explain that in our last video how that happens. But you can see that the wanted needs are high and the expressed very little. Wanted high, little. In affection, wanted are pretty high and no expressed.
Wow.
So this person wants a lot of love and affection, physical touch, but they show none.
This seems very, very painful for these people.
It's painful for both. It's
everybody
very
around
painful for the other person that's in relationship with them. So
Right.
in supine in inclusion, we talked about how there needs to be that personal invitation. They always have to be pursued. They need to be pursued or prefer to be pursued in affection as well. So this person is a responder, not an initiator.
Okay.
Inside, that sanguine is saying, I want all the love and affection. They have a very
Right.
high need for love and affection, same as the sanguine, but then they express as the melancholy. Again, we're dealing with that kind of Jekyll and Hyde type of
Right.
mentality. So if you are married to a supine, eventually they can train themselves. They know that they're loved and they know that they feel safe, and so they can train themselves to respond as a sanguine, and they can pursue, but they will always prefer for somebody else to initiate.
Wonderful. I mean, that's got to be challenging, right?
Yep.
If you're early in a relationship with a supine,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
As the pursuer, you're going to get tired and feel like, what, does this person not love me?
Yes.
Right. But they can learn.
Yeah, they can. And any of these things,
Right.
any of the weaknesses are able to be overcome. They do not define us. It's just a preference.
Right.
So I think when there's a supine woman, that's, I think, a little bit more, it's easier to deal with in an early dating relationship. The woman is typically pursued by a guy, but when I work with supine males and they don't feel comfortable pursuing a woman, they a lot of times will end up being alone.
Oh, wow.
They're so intimidated by the woman that they don't know how to pursue her. And then the woman will end up like just saying, oh, he's not interested. I'm in the friend zone.
Right.
He's not interested.
So temperament plus fear equals loneliness.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
But understanding your temperament,
Yes.
right?
No.
Overcoming your fear
Yes.
will allow you to have a great relationship.
Right. So when we deal with anger, it's like we work through the steps. Am I hurt or am I afraid?
Right.
And then this third question is, what do I really want? When you ask yourself, so the supines, we ask like, what do I want? And then I am responsible for expressing that.
Right.
The supines always want somebody to read their mind. Well, they should just know. And they don't. So
This is going to be challenging with intimacy.
yes.
Right. Because, I mean, we've talked about in the last two classes, control and inclusion, how important it is to clarify what you want.
Yes.
I think talking about intimacy is a challenge for any couple,
Yes. Anytime.
especially for this couple.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So, but as the supine learns, like, all right, when I let people know my needs, then they get met.
Right.
And so it's usually easier to, if they are a pure supine like this person, if I teach them how to express themselves in inclusion, in their surface relationships, then they'll feel really whole.
Okay.
When I teach them how to just communicate that they really need a little help and assistance in making decisions, then they feel a lot less stress. So the supine gets very anxious.
Okay.
They can be depressed if they're dealing with inclusion and their needs aren't getting met, and then extremely anxious if they are responsible for taking on too much responsibility.
And what's the challenging emotion that they face when it comes to affection, if it's not being met
In
there?
affection, again, it's loneliness, sadness. They feel unloved.
Yeah.
So, it's just like teaching them, like, and letting their partner know that, no, they love you. And if you will pursue them, then they're going to end up responding as that sanguine. But their partner eventually is like, well, I want to be pursued too.
Right, right.
I've worked with a lot of married couples. Like if you've got a melancholy in affection, the
Right.
one that doesn't show a lot of love, they just want to have sex, but they don't want to cuddle or anything else.
Right.
And then you've got a supine that is not going to ever pursue.
Right.
That's probably the worst matchup that you can have.
Now hold on. The worst matchup, but if neither one of them want it.
No, but the supine
does
wants
want
it.
Right.
And they're not going to pursue, and the melancholy doesn't really want to, like, they don't need it that much. So that is where you're at two opposite ends of the spectrum. So that is where teaching temperament in premarital counseling or in marriage counseling is so important, to just teach them their differences. And then there's a lot of enlightenment and understanding that comes from that.
We know that communication is one of the three pillars of establishing a relationship, of having a relationship. And this sounds like it compounds that issue.
Yeah.
But if it is communicated, can these couples overcome this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So teaching, if let's say that there is a melancholy in affection married to a supine in affection, then the melancholy has to learn to be the pursuer, and then the supine has to know that the melancholy doesn't have as high of needs as them, and they're going to show their love in a lot of different ways.
Right. Okay. So understanding where my love comes from is very, very important.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Anything else you can tell me about the supine in affection?
The supine in affection, when they don't have their needs met, again, they deal with that internalized anger.
Okay.
So the hurt feelings,
Yeah.
they're going to cry a lot. They're much more apt to cry in response to anger than to get angry.
Right.
They can also be a little passive aggressive.
Okay.
So, they have extremely high needs. So think supine, but they're going to act like the melancholy at times.
I think a question that I would be regularly asking my supine partner would be, help me understand. Just help me understand what you want. Help me understand what you're thinking. And just over clarify.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. So if you are supine in affection, just know that you're going to have to clarify, like you will have to clarify in control and inclusion as well. And that we do love you, all you supines. So thanks for stopping by. Dr. Amy, thank you. And we look forward to seeing you in the next class.
See you next time.